Welcome back, everyone. For Week 6 of the 2013 NFL season, I went 4-4 with my picks last week. We do these videos in the middle of the week like the other YouTube prognosticators, and sometimes we don't have all the information. For example, last week Megatron for Detroit, 1 hour before the game started, was announced that he would not play, and I had Detroit with the cover and the over. No Megatron, no cover, no over. That's why you should follow me on Twitter, because I will tweet any changes that I make. So follow me on Twitter at gioknows. Okay, here are this week's picks. The first game we're going to look at has Detroit going to Cleveland, where the Browns are 2.5-point dogs at home, despite the fact that they've won 3 straight and they're coming off the Thursday game. Now, so far this year, 7 of the 8 teams that are coming off the Thursday game have won straight up and covered. The only one that didn't was Philadelphia, and they had to play Denver. I mentioned that Megatron was not 100% last week and didn't play. So far, he hasn't practiced this week. No Megatron, no good news for Detroit. Cleveland has the number 4 defense in the league in yards per game allowed. There's an old adage that says, take the points and the defense. That's what we'll do in this game. So take Cleveland plus 2.5. The second game we're going to look at has Cincinnati going to Buffalo. The Bills are 7.5-point dogs at home. It's a pretty high number. There's probably 2 reasons for this. Cincinnati beat New England, and the Bills will be starting quarterback Thad Lewis, who they signed off their practice squad. Now, first things first, the Bengals did beat the Patriots, but the Patriots are not the same team as they were last year, and that game was in the driving rain. And with Lewis at quarterback, it's not that he's going to be replacing Peyton Manning at quarterback. He's replacing a rookie, so there's not a big drop-off there. I actually saw Lewis play last year against Pittsburgh. He looked pretty good. Cincinnati's 0-2 on the road this year, while Buffalo is 2-1 at home. And the Bills have only allowed 18 points more against, and they have scored 4. And Cincy's only scored 7 points more against their opposition. So this might be a very high number. Let's take Buffalo plus 7.5. The third game we're going to look at has Arizona going to San Francisco, where the Niners are 11-point favorites at home. Arizona has the 10th best defense in the league, and that was mostly without their stud linebacker, Darrell Washington, who returned last week and was the difference in Arizona's win. He is the straw that stirs the drink on defense. Also, Arizona's number 3 against the run, and San Francisco's a run-first team, especially now with all the problems that they have at wide receiver. They've held their opposition to 16 points against in the last 2 games. 11 points is too many in a division matchup here, so let's take Arizona plus 11. And the fourth game has New Orleans going to New England, where the Patriots are 2.5-point favorites at home. Maybe Gronkowski comes back this week, maybe he doesn't. I don't think he'll add that much to the Patriots' offense, even if he does. The New England team has so far played against very bad quarterbacks, 2 rookies, and then a quarterback who's been cut. They did beat Atlanta with a very good quarterback, but let's face it, Atlanta is not the same quality team this year as they were last year. And when they did play a good team with a good quarterback last week, they did lose. Well, this week they face against the undefeated New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees. And also, Sean Payton will be playing Bill Belichick. And this is a statement game for Sean Payton. You know, he was not allowed to coach last year because of Bountygate, and I think he wants to show Goodell something here. I think this is a statement game for Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints. I think they'll win this game, so let's take New Orleans plus 2.5. So make sure you check out Bridgewater's Finest YouTube channel. Justin gives over-under picks as well as against the spread, and then he offers his bronze, silver, gold, and platinum picks straight up. So check him out, Bridgewater's Finest. Okay, Here are my over-under plays for this week. Game number 1 is the Thursday nighter as the New York Giants go to Chicago. That number is 47. The Giants are dead last in points against, and Chicago is not that far behind, giving up 26 points a game. And you get the added bonus that Chicago has the 4th best offense in the league. They've also lost key players on their defense the last couple of weeks. This should sail well over the number. So let's take over 47. Game number 2 is Jacksonville going to Denver. That number is 53. Denver scoring 46 points on average a week. I don't know if they're going to run up the score necessarily, but I do think that Denver is trying to set all kinds of offensive records this year, and they're going to at least score their 46. Meanwhile, they do give up an average of 20 points a game, so this should also sail over the number. Let's take over 53. I mentioned this game earlier, New Orleans at New England. The number's 49.5. That would have been a good number last year, but this is 2013. New England doesn't have the same offense. They do have a very good defense, though. Number 2 in the league in points allowed. Meanwhile, New Orleans is number 4 in points allowed. And like I said, this should be a statement game for Sean Payton. I think this is going to be a good defensive struggle here, and the number should not even come close. So let's take under 49.5. And the 4th game is a game I mentioned earlier, Arizona at San Francisco. That number is 41.5. The number 10 defense versus the number 3 defense. I mentioned that Arizona's only given up 16 points in the last 2 games. Well, San Francisco's only given up 14 points in their last 2 games. This should be a defensive struggle. So let's take under 41.5. Let's talk about some picks you might make in a suicide pool while my straight-up picks scroll to my sign here. Last week, I picked Atlanta, and they lost, and that was the first time I've had a suicide pick that's lost in a year and a half. But if you watch my video, How to Win a Suicide Pool, you'll know that I entered more than once. So make sure you watch that video. It's in the descriptions below. Obviously, Denver is going to be the consensus pick as they take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, but if you're in a pool that doesn't allow you to take the same team twice and you've used Denver already, you might want to consider taking Chicago, who faces the 0-5 New York Giants. The Giants have no running back. Their offensive line is in tatters. Chicago would be a very good bet here. St. Louis is at Houston. The Texans are favored in 10 of my 13 power rankings in this game here. Matt Schaub, the quarterback, is probably playing for his career right now. If another bad performance and he might lose the starting job, I think he'll play very well. Plus, St. Louis isn't very good and they're on the road, so consider Houston. You might also want to take Kansas City. They're at home against Oakland. This is a division match, which usually are kind of tricky, but Kansas City should pull this one out with no problem. Arizona's at San Francisco. I talked about that game earlier. I think this will be close, but San Francisco is the better play here, even though this is a divisional play. You might want to take the Niners. Washington goes to Dallas, and the Cowboys played very well last week. They almost knocked off Denver. I think that gives them a lot of confidence. You might want to consider them. I will be taking the Seattle Seahawks, who after 2 weeks on the road are back at home where they are most comfortable and virtually invincible. So for this week, I'll be taking in my suicide pool the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, so those are my picks for this week. Good luck to you. I made the mistake of linking my YouTube channel with Google+, and now I've lost a lot of the channels that I subscribe to. So if I haven't watched your video, just leave me a message in the comments section below saying, hey, check out my channel. I love to watch them all, and I like to comment on all of them. And make sure you check out my webpage, gioknows.com. I offer a lot of tips that you can use against the spread, straight up and over under. So make sure you check it out, gioknows.com. Okay, for the GeoKnows YouTube channel, I am Geo. Let's take the man's money.